Hello everyone, this is Namrata here from Knowise Learning Academy. Welcome to yet another video from the Knowise Knowledge series. Today we're going to discuss a very interesting topic. Today we're going to talk about investment returns. Now by far when we're investing money, the most important thing that we look at is the returns that investment is going to generate for us, right? And even when we are evaluating different investment options, we evaluate them on the basis of returns. But the biggest challenge is that when we are looking at different investments, our return measurement yardsticks are also different. So let me explain this. Now, if we look at real estate as an investment option, we have a lot of fascinating stories floating around us, right? So, for example, Mr. Sajjan Jindal bought a bungalow, the Maheshwari House, in 2014 for about 400 crores. The previous owner had bought the same bungalow for 1.45 lakhs in the year 1935. So what are we going to say? That this property value has gone up 27,000 times. Even when we are talking to our parents about real estate, right? I mean, they would say, I bought this piece of land for 25 lakhs 15 years ago and I've sold it for 1 crore today. So which means my property has given 400% returns, or its value has gone up 4 times. Now, when you're only considering the purchase price and the sale price of this property, it is called holding period return. Now, the biggest challenge with holding period return is that it is not taking into account the time value of money, and it is not expressing the returns in annual terms, which is the general norm. So now, let's look at some of the traditional investment cum insurance plans or money back or endowment plans which are offered by life insurance companies. So now what we like in such investment options is the predictability of cash flows, or we exactly know how much we're going to get. So let's understand this through an example. So for example, you've taken an insurance policy where you have to pay a premium of 50,000 rupees every year for the next 25 years, and the sum assured in this case is 7.5 lakhs. Now the policy says that after this 25 years, you're going to get 8% of the sum assured, which is nothing but 60,000 rupees every year for the next 45 years. Now you're already sold on the 8% because you start believing that you're going to get 8% every year for 45 years. Now the biggest challenge or the drawback here is that this 8% is simple absolute return or nothing but simple interest. So here it is not taking into account the compounding effect which a lot of other investments would give you. Also, it is not taking into account inflation. Now what is 60,000 rupees today versus what is going to be the value of the 60,000 rupees after 25 years for the next 45 years is what we have to understand. Now if we look at equity mutual fund as an investment option, what we like are all the wealth creation stories that we hear all the time. For example, a 3,000 rupees invested every month for the next 30 years would make you a crorepati, considering 12% as the return per annum. Now, when we are selecting a mutual fund, what we tend to look at is the best performing fund from the previous year. Now, the biggest drawback in this is that the best performing fund from last year may not be the best performing fund in the subsequent years. So, is there a common platform to compare returns? And will that common platform also help us compare different asset classes before we take an investment decision, which should also take time value of money into account? So now the most basic ground rule that we should understand while calculating returns is that if the holding period of your investment is less than 1 year, we should look at simple absolute return, which is nothing but simple interest. And if the holding period of the investment is more than 1 year, then we should look at CAGR, which is nothing but compounded annual growth rate or compound interest in simple terms. So first, let's understand simple absolute returns with an example. Now suppose you have invested in a mutual fund at an NAV of 10 rupees and you've redeemed your investment amount after 6 months when the NAV was 12 rupees, which means your simple absolute return is 20% in this case. Now the challenge or the mistake that a lot of people tend to make is that they would extrapolate this 20% to 40% as the per annum return. What you have to understand is in any of these these market linked investments like your equities, mutual funds, real estate or gold, we cannot extrapolate because just because a particular investment has given 20% in the first 6 months, it is not necessary that it is going to grow at the same rate for the next 6 months as well. Which is why when you're looking at simple absolute return, you should look at the absolute holding period for that particular investment. So now let's look at CAGR as a way of calculating returns. An investor has invested at an NAV of 10 rupees today and he's redeeming this investment after 5 years at an NAV of 20. Now the holding period return in this case would be 100% and the simple absolute return in this case would be 100% divided by 5, which is 20% per annum. But is this the right way of calculating returns? Let's look at how CAGR can help us in this. So if we apply the CAGR formula, it would first annualize the investments and also consider the compounding effect. So the CAGR in this case would be 15% per annum. But that does not mean that the fund has given 15% every year. It is the average return over the last 5 years. Now the most basic assumption while using CAGR is that the returns that the fund has generated year on year is retained back in the fund and not withdrawn. Only that's how you'll get the compounding effect. So let's look at a real life scenario. If you look at Sensex, which is one of the leading equity market indicators, it has given about 15% return from 2003 till 2020. Does it mean Sensex has given 15% return every year? Obviously not. If you look at the example on the screen, there were years where Sensex gave plus 70% returns or 40+% returns. There are also years where Sensex has given negative 50% or negative 25% return. So if you look at the average return that Sensex has given is about 15% over the last 18 years. Now if you look at Virat Kohli's T20 international batting average, which is about 50 runs, it obviously doesn't mean that he scored 50 runs in every match. He would have scored 70 to 80 runs in some matches and maybe 10 to 20 runs in some other matches, and that is how you come to an average of 50. Now also the 50 runs batting average has not come in the last 8 to 10 matches. It would come maybe in the last 80 to 100 matches that he would have played over 7 to 8 years. And that is where the batsman greatness comes because of the consistency that he has shown over the last few years. Therefore, CAGR helps us bring the investment returns at a common playing field. Now, if we look at the real estate example where the 25 lakhs invested became 1 crore in 15 years, the CAGR is about 9.68% per annum. And if you look at the insurance example where we were getting 60,000 rupees every year for 45 years, and if we also include the maturity benefits, the CAGR comes to about 4%. Even in mutual funds, CAGR is the actual norm for communicating returns. But while you're selecting a fund, it is important to not just look at the past 1 year history, but to look at the history of returns over the last few years and also the consistency of the returns. Also, when there are multiple transactions in your portfolio, right, you could use the XIRR tool in Excel to calculate the CAGR. Now to conclude, whether it is mutual funds or real estate or insurance or any other market-linked investment, you should use CAGR as the tool to compute returns. And also don't just look at a shorter history of returns, look at an extended longer history of returns to come to an investment decision. If you found this video useful, please do like this video and don't forget to share it and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.